thrilled that we're here. Obviously getting to see the guys for the first time and communicate with them for the first time in a long time. Staff, players, a lot of energy in there. We'll get underway tomorrow. But for me and all baseball people, we're just super thrilled to be back to work.
What's the complication for you with the condensed spring, and then also kind of a condensed season too? When you think about it.
Well, I mean, for us, I think just getting an assessment of where guys are. Having not been able to communicate with the group, following a lot of social media, and now we got to take them for their word on where they're at physically and what they've done. So our guys, have done a good job of communicating since the end of this lockout. We've gotten a ton of information on where they are physically. So the pitching is obviously got to get up and running pretty quickly. You're looking at 4 starts per starter. You're looking at trying to condense how many outings the guys have. We got to get them into games a little faster. We're not going to get a ton of looks at our younger guys that are in camp. But it is what it is. It's 30 teams that have the same thing. And we'll get them ready. Generally speaking, spring training has been too long for the most part. Maybe not to managers and coaches, but to a lot of players. So this will be a challenge just to mentally get past the calendar date where you're used to being at a certain point at the end of March and realize we have some more time in April. So getting on the field tomorrow, we'll operate like a normal spring training. I think you'll see the more established players faster into games than maybe you've done in the past.
Do you think it'll affect, maybe it's too early to say this, but for rotation, can you still go into a season? Maybe they won't be fully built up, so maybe you have to have a 6-man rotation or something like that?
No, I mean, I think we'll know more when we get, bullpens underway and live VPs. I mean, nobody likes to hear about back in the day, but it used to be up and running a lot faster. And then we sort of migrated to a more conservative approach in spring, and we slowly ramped them up. Our guys have already thrown live VPs. I've seen it on social media. I've heard it from them. We probably can push them a little faster than we, have been comfortable with. So you may see a 3-inning outing out of somebody right away. You may see, you won't see back-to-backs and stuff like that, but it's going to be individualized because we have to, and it doesn't matter if they're behind. What matters is the team we break with.
What's it like to actually be allowed to talk to these guys?
Yeah. I think I miss them more than they miss me. No, it's been fun. The guy, they immediately come in and the text messages started, the calls, we have a great culture inside. So it's a lot of catch up. Just make sure the guys are doing that. Now I immediately talk to Mize about Auburn losing. Just a little banter, things like that. That's fun. That shorten his golf game. It's just all the little sort of inside relationship things. Quite honestly, it's one of the things I love about this job. And same with Fett, same with George, Cooley. I mean, all of the staff. We are an interactive staff, so we got a lot of catching up to do.
You saw Tork and Greene and Kreidler for a few weeks in mini camp. How much does that help now going into what would be a compressed look otherwise? Yeah,
no, I mean, we're pretty familiar with those guys. It feels like Kreidler's second big league camp, even though it's his first official, just because he was over here so much last year. I think it's probably more of an advantage for them, being comfortable getting right into games and not having to bear too much of the burden of trying to make a quick impression. We've been around them for a couple weeks, but not interacting with them. I mean, you can only observe so much and know. So they're going to have a chance, and I don't want to group them all into one, but specifically Tork and Greene are going to have a chance to get a good look. And on one hand, it's a great opportunity to make a team. On the other hand, it's not the end-all be-all whether they break with us or not. We'll make decisions at the end of camp that we think is best for us. The fact that they're more ready for games, if you're a young guy and you're trying to make an impression, is probably a good thing.
What were some of your takeaways from Torkelson and Greene in minicamp?
I mean, physically, and emotionally, they're in a good place. I mean, I thought they handled, both the entry into minicamp, the disappointment of no big league camp starting, and even the extra attention that you guys have already given them pretty well. I think they're tremendous prospects. They're going to have an opportunity to showcase what they can do and how they fit. and there's a reason we love them so much. They're really good players, and they're, you know, they've got sort of the it factor when it comes to how they fit on a club, how they interact with people. They can handle this pressure.
And then from a travel standpoint too, and just getting guys here, any delays that you're expecting?
Not a ton. I think there was a flight canceled yesterday from the Northeast, the big storm. I've seen almost everybody. You know, they've filtered in either yesterday or today, or they'll get here today. I don't anticipate too many delays. I mean, obviously, there's bound to be one. But other than a couple of guys, I've almost seen almost the whole group in its entirety, so.
You seen Scope?
No, but I've texted with them. The scope watch is legit. Haven't seen Miggy, haven't seen Victor. But I kind of know when their timeline is, so I'm not fearful of anything.
What's the difference for you and your staff with this being your second year here? How different is it from a year ago and everything?
Yeah, I mean, you know what's, you know, with these guys, when they come into the building, they come in my office and they'll say hello, you know, and they'll hear, it's right on the way to the clubhouse. And, you know, last year there was a little more tiptoeing. This year we have a common bond of experiences that they know what to expect from me, I know what to expect from them. So you know, Candy running into my office with a big bear hug is different than last year coming in and you know, introducing himself and to a brand new manager. So I think anytime you have built-in experiences from the previous year, it's from all of us. Fett, like I said, George, Santi, Hess. I mean, our staff is entrenched with these guys. Eduardo Rodriguez, Javy Baez, you know, some invite guys that have that same cautiousness, but it's a great vibe inside from the very beginning, as opposed to explain what my culture is or what my rules are or what my expectations are. These guys are coming ready to go.
AJ, with the transactions freeze just recently lifted, is there a feeling like you've got spring training and the winter meetings going on at the same time?
Yeah, the same. That's like, yeah, it feels like it, because once it's, you know, I was here when the lockout was lifted, and the front office went immediately into, you know, the area to contact teams, contact players, start to get everybody, and there was simultaneously trying to get 50 some guys here, as well as feel out the market and start to see guys, or start to reestablish relationships or conversations with teams. So it's been busy, but at the same time, you know, my job is going to be to now shield all of that winter meetings feel to this clubhouse. We have a lot of guys that we need to get through and get up and running and ready for a season, and the front office will probably round the clock try to figure out if there's any sort of transaction ahead. So we as a coaching staff, me as a manager, we're going to operate with the group that we have, and if there's an addition, great. If there's not, then we'll go to battle with the group we have.
What do you kind of see yourself as some of the battles, the roster battles going into this? So we kind of look at it, but
Yeah.
what is your?
Yeah, so for me, you know, assuming health, assuming, you know, we were going to break camp today, you may always play that game in your own head. I do too. But to me, there's some competition on both sides of the ball. The pitching side, you know, how's the rotation gonna play out? We could fill a rotation today and feel comfortable with it. There's some bullpen guys. Some have you know, you look at guys that have established themselves. There's probably a job or two competing in the bullpen. The position player side, it's a little bit more complicated, and that's because we can configure it however we want. Are we going to carry 3 catchers? What is going to happen with the infield? You know, where's Scope going to play? We know the obvious reasons why those are in question, and so I think there's a couple position players, a couple pitchers. Would be my estimate going into camp. And then you always have to be ready for a surprise. You know, we weren't expecting, you know, last year Alex Lang coming into camp, you know, establishing himself, his second half was pretty impressive. You know, we have a, you know, brand new infield. What happens at second probably is dictated by what happens at first. You know, things like that we'll have to sort through over the next 3 weeks.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Last year you were creating a culture, new ways of doing things. Is it continuation of that, or do you have a new message or a different focus?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think the message is the same, which you're going to hear me say win the game today. I mean, that's the mentality that I live with. We need to set the bar high. We come into this camp, you know, we got the little feel of winning a little bit, not a lot. And I think we need to continue the same message. The preparation part of it is always being tweaked. You know, what can we do to enhance that? Why were we bad in our division last year? Just, you know, explaining some realities to our team and then attacking those issues. It's kind of the same thing we did last year. We just have now some common experience together that hopefully the message will get through faster.
So, fair question coming out of that then, is the postseason a realistic goal that you say out loud?
Yeah, of course. I don't know what's going to happen, but I think you show up in the spring wanting to and expecting to make the playoffs. I'm not declaring this a playoff team. I have no idea. We don't know how the health's going to go. We don't know how the wins are going to come. But for us, when we show up to spring training, I've always told every team I've ever managed, we need to win our division and we need to make the playoffs. I don't know why this would be any different.
I want to ask you, this is probably a naive question, but with the rules changes coming next year with the shifts, do you use this year to transition to that, or do you?
We may shift more if I just because I'll tear up when that goes away. We may, just for old time's sake. No, we're going to try to play where the outs are.
Okay.
So we will obviously we're aware that the rules could possibly change, but our goal is to get to 27 outs as fast as possible and best as possible. So I'm not going to give up anything. We'll play under the rules that are today.
From a big picture, the way you guys finished last year, a couple big signings during the winter, it seemed like at the end of November, the enthusiasm among fans was really high, and then you have 3 months of nothing. Does baseball as an industry need to do anything to kind of repair relationships with fans, or do you think that'll be a memory?
Yeah, no, I think our whole industry, first off, we got to thank the fans for sticking with us. And it doesn't matter which side you're on or what you believe in, and we're back. Trying to get ready for the season, and a big part of the joy of this industry is the fans. We will need to earn their respect. We will need to earn their trust. We will need to put a good product on the field. We need to show them wins. We need to thank them. We can hopefully interact with them a little bit more this year. All that comes with putting on a uniform and getting back at the professional level. So hopefully. That enthusiasm that we felt when, Eduardo signs and Javy signs, and we had a lot of momentum going. Hopefully that continues for well into the season. And what I do know is that our city, our fans, they love the Tigers, they love winning, and we need to supply that.
You said earlier that you could fill out a rotation right now if needed. The 4 guys, we can pretty much figure out. Do you feel like you have a good field for 50 candidates?
Yeah, so I think Tyler Alexander is the guy. I mean, he could do just about anything on a staff that we need, right? He did a good job last year when we asked him to step in. He also can be a very valuable Swiss Army knife in the bullpen. And so if we were going to break today, obviously I think Tyler is the leading candidate to be in the rotation. So with that, you never, what is our depth going to look like? Who else is available? It's a little unknown right now. I am interested in seeing Joey Wentz and see him bounce back after coming back from his injury. I am interested in seeing, Faedo. They're not candidates necessarily to break camp with us. Faedo's, barely even throwing a couple bullpens. But our young depth, Ronnie Garcia, Pinto, guys that look like they're going to be in Logan Shore in AAA. Bo Brisky's in camp, and again, they will not get long looks because we don't have a lot of time. But there's some names that are going to pop up that we're not expecting, and then we'll see if we have a chance to add to the depth in the competition.
With so many of those young guys being your depth, do you feel like you need an outside addition from the front office, or that'd be a luxury at this point?
Yeah, well, I think both. I mean, obviously, when you're in my chair, I've got a group in there to motivate, and I would never tell Tyler Alexander that we need a new pitcher, right? Like I have a lot of respect for the group that we have. If we feel like we can make our team better, then we certainly will dive into that. It's one thing to want it; it's another thing to actually have it be a reality and us be able to do it. So, again, we'll look at everything. I mean, Al and the group has been diving into a lot of different names and a lot of different possibilities. I got to prepare a team as if this is the only group of guys that we're going to have, and and we'll get them ready.
You've been through this a lot with your other team. When you have like a big personality guy come into this mix with Javy, what's the challenge there, or is it not? I mean, I know he's competitive enough where it's probably going to be a good problem to have.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's no, I mean, adding talent is never a problem. And the guys have a way of adjusting to the personalities of the club, especially when you have an elite player like Javy. He doesn't garner a lot of attention inside the clubhouse. He really wants his attention to be out on the field. And he loves winning. He loves competing. So that transition, these guys have already established themselves of the interaction with Javy and how he fits on this club, both in the clubhouse and on the field. So that's a seamless, transition. I think the unknown is getting to know him. One thing that with Tucker Barnhart, with Javy, with Eduardo, I like to customize spring based on what gets them ready the best. I don't know what it takes to get Javy ready for 162. I don't know what it takes to get Eduardo ready for his rotation spots. So there's little nuances that you have to figure out that to me is more difficult, that we plop them right in the middle of the clubhouse. Miggy and Grossman will take care of them.
How do you feel about your catching situation? What's the thought behind just the possibility of carrying?
Yeah, so I'm going to meet with Tucker today for the first time. I saw him yesterday when he got here and go over, again, this is a condensed schedule. Normally you would play, 18 to 20 games as a catcher. He's only going to play, call it 11, 12, 13, and I got to get him to catch every single pitcher that I can. So that'll be a challenge in itself. Eric Haas, tremendous breakthrough season last year. We see him as probably for the first time in his career coming into camp pretty established in a job, whether that's solely as a backup catcher or whether I'm going to move him around a little bit. And that's where Dustin Garneau comes in. He did a really good job game planning, game management, pitcher relationships. He threw well. He hit some homers. Kind of your bona fide backup catcher guy, and that he's very valuable. And how that can help me utilize Haas in the best way. Does he protect us in how I'm going to use Tucker? There's value to having a third catcher if one of those guys can be a multi-positional guy. If not, then that means that we're going to carry an extra outfielder or an extra infielder. So it's all intertwined with how the infield and outfield play out. I don't really want to consider 5 outfield-only guys. That makes it really difficult to play. So we're looking at that utility role could be an extra infielder or an extra catcher.
You kind of feel like it's going to be 26 leaving camp, or do you expect to be able to carry a couple?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's a good question. It was brought up right after the lockout that there could be some consideration of an extra guy. I mean, 30 managers will ask for extra pitching going into the season, and maybe even extra position player. But the pitching is the big question. I know the new CBA has the 13-13 rule. I think 13 pitchers, 13 position players. That poses a challenge for 6-man rotation. It poses a challenge for more specialized bullpen. And so we'll see, but 30 managers are going to sit in front of the media and say, yeah, I'd love an extra player for April.
Do the new limits on how often you can option guys back and forth play and factor into how you want to configure your roster?
Yeah, I was trying to think of like Zach Short, Del Pozo last year. Joe got up and down 2 or 3 times. I think it'll impact it a little bit. Probably not as much as it feels right out of the gate, but I know there's some players, and certainly some wives of some players that'll be happy that there's at least some limitation on the shuttle.
We got this period of only three or 4 days between the first workout and the first game. That's really what's different between this spring and most. How is the routine going to change?
Yeah, so the hard part is, I had numerous conversations with pitchers when they come in. Fett and I will talk to them about what they've done. And you've got anything from I have faced hitters or I haven't faced hitters to I've thrown a simulated game to I haven't. Some of our guys have thrown like 3 or 4 live BP sessions on their own. So what none of them have done is PFP. And that, they don't race to cover first and be on there. It's like, normally you spend those first 10 days getting their legs under them, you get the soreness out, you just standing outside is our outfielders standing in the outfield for a 15-minute inning. As simple as that sounds, that takes a toll on getting into playing shape. So we don't have those 10 days, so we'll have to gently walk our way into it. I don't like putting a player out on the field that we haven't already practiced something. And again, simple stuff, whether it's pop-up communication, these guys can go play a baseball game and be perfectly fine. I feel better when we've practiced everything prior to that. We don't have time to do that necessarily. And nor are we in perfect, baseball shape to accomplish that. So we'll do our best and hope that a calf, a groin, a hammy, an ankle, like nothing happens. Minicamp, as an example, there were little tweaks here and there where guys had to miss a couple days due to just hitting the bag wrong. And it probably sounds simple to the general public, but it's a fear that the wrong guy takes the wrong step and needs to miss a couple days in camp. That could create some issues.